found the letter on a Tuesday, 3 weeks after we buried my father, tucked inside the lining of an old canvas duffel bag that still smelled like motor oil and cigarettes. I wasn't even looking for anything important. My mother had asked me to sort through his things because she couldn't bring herself to touch them yet. The letter was short, 6 lines, written in his cramped, slanted handwriting, the same handwriting that used to sign my school permission slips and scrawl, "Be safe," on sticky notes before his overnight shifts. It said, "If I don't come home, finish what I started, son. Everything you need is here. Trust no one until you understand what this really is." I sat there on the closet floor, holding that scrap of paper for almost 20 minutes before I could make myself breathe normally again, because grief had already hollowed me out. And now there was this too, this second impossible thing sitting on top of the first. Folded inside it was a map, not a modern one, hand-drawn, on paper gone soft and brown at the folds, like it had been carried in someone's pocket for decades. There were symbols on it I didn't recognize, coordinates that meant nothing to an 18-year-old with a public library education and a part-time job stocking shelves. We were poor, choosing between electricity and groceries poor. My father worked 2 jobs my entire life and still came home some nights looking like the world had personally sat on his shoulders. He died on what the official report called a hiking accident, alone, 3 states away, in a place he'd told my mother was a work training thing that didn't exist at his company. So when I found a letter telling me to finish what he started, I didn't call the police. I sat on his closet floor at midnight and decided I was going to find out what killed my father and finish it, whatever it cost. The first 2 weeks were pure frustration. I spent every free hour in the back corner of our library, cross-referencing the map symbols against old mining records and survey markers, because one symbol looked like something from a documentary about colonial trade routes. The librarian, Denise, who'd known me since I needed a step stool to reach the picture books, never asked what I was researching. She just quietly kept pulling books I hadn't thought to request yet. The breakthrough was almost embarrassingly small. One symbol wasn't historical at all. It was a stylized version of my father's own initials, hidden inside decorative flourish he had added himself to an older map he must have inherited or found. That meant this wasn't purely historical. It was a working document, cross-referencing an old lost shipment with modern coordinates he'd spent years narrowing down alone. That's when things stopped being frustrating and started being frightening. About a month in, I noticed a car. I told myself I was being paranoid, that grief was making me see danger in ordinary things. But the same dark sedan appeared outside the library twice in 1 week. Then outside our building on a Saturday morning, a man sitting inside it for 40 minutes, just watching our door. I confided in one person, my cousin Marcus, 2 years older, who'd worked construction and had, in his words, seen enough sketchy stuff to know it when it stared at him. He didn't laugh. He looked at that map for almost an hour in silence, then said, "Your dad wasn't running from nothing, cousin. People don't hide maps like this from nothing." Marcus became the only person I trusted with any of it, and without him I don't think I'd have survived what came next. He started sleeping over most nights after that, camped on our couch with a bat leaned against the armrest, never complaining once. We pieced together, through records my father had also hidden, bank statements showing small, strange withdrawals over years, a storage unit rented under a name close enough to his that I recognized the handwriting, that he'd spent nearly 15 years quietly chasing this same map before ever telling me anything. He'd gotten close enough at some point to draw attention from people who didn't want it found or who wanted it for themselves. The storage unit held the final piece, a water-damaged journal, half illegible, but enough readable to understand the map led to a cache from a shipment lost during a period of unrest decades earlier, gold and uncut diamonds hidden rather than moved through dangerous territory, meant to be recovered later by people who never survived long enough to come back for it. My father had spent 15 years trying to become the person who finally would. I won't walk through every technical detail of how we narrowed the coordinates down, partly because some of it involved help from people who asked me never to describe how, and partly because those final weeks are still a blur of exhaustion and fear I've never fully organized in my own memory. What I can tell you is that 6 weeks after finding that letter, Marcus and I stood at the edge of a remote forest, following coordinates cross-referenced against an old survey, digging in a spot my father had circled in red so many times the paper had nearly worn through. We found it on the second day, just as the light was starting to fail, that gray hour when the forest goes quiet, and every snap twig sounds like a warning. I remember the exact sound the shovel made, hitting something that wasn't rock or root, a dull, heavy metallic thud that froze us both completely still, staring at each other with dirt-streaked faces in the fading light, like neither of us believed it was real. Marcus dropped to his knees first and started clearing the soil away with his bare hands, not even bothering with the shovel anymore. And I just stood there for a moment, unable to move, listening to my own heartbeat pound in my ears the way it had the night I first read my father's letter. It was real. A sealed container, old but intact, gold bars stamped with markings I didn't recognize, and a smaller waterproof case holding uncut diamonds wrapped in cloth that had somehow survived decades underground. I sat on the forest floor and cried for the first time since the funeral. Not from joy exactly, but from grief and vindication and terror tangled together, because finding it was clearly the easiest part of what still lay ahead. Because the people watching me were still out there, and now, impossibly, they knew we'd found something too. A vehicle appeared on the access road the next morning, 2 men making no effort to hide that they were watching us load the car, one openly photographing our license plate like a warning rather than an attempt at secrecy. What followed was the most carefully planned month of my life. We couldn't drive home with a fortune in the trunk. We couldn't deposit anything through normal channels without drawing exactly the attention that had apparently gotten my father killed. Marcus, through a distant family connection, found us a retired appraiser willing to work quietly and legally, someone who explained our best protection wasn't hiding. It was making everything so thoroughly documented and legitimate that no shadowy group chasing rumors could touch it without exposing themselves to the scrutiny they clearly wanted to avoid. So instead of running, we did something that felt almost insane in its boldness. We went public, carefully and legally, working with a lawyer who specialized in treasure recovery law to file every required historical claim, working with the appraiser to authenticate everything through proper channels, building a wall of legitimate paperwork around ourselves faster than anyone following us could react. The 2 men in the sedan disappeared within 2 weeks of the story becoming a small, quiet matter of public record. Whatever they wanted it done in shadow, and we'd taken the shadow away from them entirely. The legal process of formally claiming everything, paying the required taxes, and settling the recovery took nearly 8 more months. Months where I finished high school not knowing day to day whether any of it would hold, whether some claim from a government or an old company might swallow the whole thing before I ever saw a dollar. But it held. Every piece of it held, because we'd done it exactly right, exactly legal, with paperwork so thorough nobody ever successfully challenged an ounce of it. When the final valuation came in, it was just over $1 billion. I want to tell you what that number actually felt like, because it doesn't feel like happiness at first. It felt like grief wearing a strange new coat. I sat with my mother in a lawyer's office, watching her hands shake as she signed documents that would change both our lives forever. And all I could think about was my father, alone somewhere in those mountains 15 years earlier, starting a search he'd never lived to finish, leaving nothing behind except a torn map and 6 lines telling him to trust no one until he understood what it really was. I understand now. I understood it the moment gold hit the bottom of that shovel in a forest 60 miles from anywhere, and I've understood it every day since, sitting inside a life my father spent his entire, silent, sacrificing existence trying to build for me, a life he never got to see. People ask sometimes if the money changed me. It didn't, not in the way they mean. What changed me happened months before any of it, sitting on a closet floor at midnight, reading 6 lines from a man I thought I already knew completely, discovering that even the people closest to us are sometimes carrying entire hidden lives, entire silent sacrifices, waiting patiently in duffel bags and storage units for the day someone finally has the courage to finish what they started. I finished it, Dad. I finally finished it, and somewhere out there, I hope you finally rest, knowing your son carried it home.